What's up, everybody? We are back, finally, after 3 weeks. It's been 3 weeks, right, guys?
I think so.
It's been a long time since we've done a show.
It's just before E3 and after E3. That's how I tell time now.
Yeah, we apologize. I know we told you guys we'd be back the week after E3, but we just kind of rolled right into Comic-Con with our 24-hour coverage and just didn't have time to get the show done. So we apologize for promising something we didn't deliver, but we're going to promise you something that we will deliver, and that's that the show is back, and it'll be back every Thursday from here on out. I just want to talk about Game Trailers TV on Spike TV on Friday night at 1:30. It's the big Comic-Con episode. We have some pretty huge interviews with people like Hugh Jackman, Stan Lee, who actually there's a really interesting conversation with him on there. He does not know what the Wii is, which I was pretty surprised by. We also have the first ever footage of Wanted, which you guys may not think is too exciting because, you know, it's based on the Angelina Jolie movie. But this game really set E3 on fire. Everybody was talking about it. It's probably the most talked about game with the show. We're going to have the first ever footage of that game on Game Trailers TV tomorrow night at 1:30 on Spike TV. So let's go, guys. Let's get this going. All right, first we're going to talk about Comic-Con, which I think at this point should just probably be called like Pop Culture Con. It really has like nothing to do with comics anymore.
You're definitely right in the regard that it has leaned towards TV and movies.
It's like all the big panels are movies, right?
I mean, the comics are kind of shoved over into the corner, aren't they?
Not really. I mean, I think they still represent a pretty big part of Comic-Con. It's just that I think people are a lot more attracted to the movies and TV appearances nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, at least in the past, it was always the games or the movies shown there were at least loosely related to comics. But now it's just straight up whatever. It's like 24 is there. It's like, what does that have to do with anything?
They have a comic.
Yeah. And pretty much on the games front, they just rolled the same demos and stuff from LA down to San Diego. So we ended up seeing a lot of redundancy. Although we did get some cool stuff, like the Darksiders stuff we got from Comic-Con.
Yes.
I was really impressed with that game, man.
Yes, no, I've been saying it this whole time, Darksiders. I think that's going to be a game to keep an eye on once they polish it up. I actually had the chance to play a little bit of it, like the first 2 levels, and I was impressed. They seem to be very mindful of the cool games out right now. It definitely draws upon a Devil May Cry, draws upon God of War, even some little bits of Dark Sector in there too, because there's a puzzle where you throw a glaive and you have to make it catch on fire, light some stuff. So
it actually reminded me a lot of Zelda.
Yeah, and there's
that's the fire boomerangs, right, or the arrows,
and just the way the game's designed.
Well, yeah, they have dungeons with specific items in the dungeon that you use for combat, and also helps you solve the puzzles in the dungeon.
Yeah, you beat the boss, you get the new weapon, then you use that weapon in the next dungeon to get the next weapon. I think it's cool, man.
But there's an overworld, right? So so that's cool. I mean, it's not actually. So you said levels, but like when you actually play the game, there's going to be some non-linear go explore stuff, right?
Yeah, it'll pretty much be divided into a hub overworld and then like little instance dungeons that
Zelda.
Yeah, like Zelda. My only fear is that it might be, with cherry picking all these little features from other games, it might be a little too unoriginal. Something more unique.
Yeah,
but,
it does seem a bit derivative, and I also worry that with so many different elements, it's going to be hard for them to polish them all in time for release.
Yeah.
So we'll see. An auspicious sort of debut, though, for the game.
Yeah, I'm totally into it.
And then Red Faction Guerrilla, I guess, was probably the other game that was there that really showed for the first time. And now there's the beta out there that we've been messing around with a little bit. Kind of missed the Geomod part of Red Faction, though. Being able to just blow a hole all the way through the level and get to like that infinity point where there's just nothingness. Now it's just kind of...
You smash things with hammers and it breaks.
But it's not as cool. Like literally, you could like burrow your own caves in the old Red Factions using the rocket launcher.
Yeah, but it's only like in that first level. They like later on in the game, they're like, this was an annoying thing that we put in the game. Let's just make it into a shooter.
Well, they should have like expanded on it more. I think. I mean, that's pretty much all there was to it at that point. But that was a great start, and they just never really took it to where they needed to go. But yeah, it looks okay, I guess. I don't think it's going to set the world on fire, but...
Not like Saints Row 2.
No.
Watch out, GTA.
Yeah. Well, they have Tara Patrick supporting Saints Row 2. I'm sure that'll give them an extra 5 copies sold. From the porn contingent. All right, so let's move on. Next, we're going to go on the hook, where we answer your questions. You guys sent us a ton of questions after E3 and Comic-Con. It's really hard to pick the ones we were going to answer, so we apologize to people who aren't getting their questions answered. but I think we pulled probably, the best 3 that was representative of the dozens and dozens that we got?
Let's just say several thousand.
Yes. A lot of them having to do with our first topic. Okay, and Michael, I think you have that question for us.
Yes, I do. This one comes to us from Taurus Oxford. He asked, what is your guys' opinion on Final Fantasy 13 going to the 360? How much do you think the PS3 will lose in sales because of this? And why do you think Sony didn't bother to try and keep the game exclusive? Well, my initial reaction is probably more in line with what some of the fanboys were thinking. My initial gut reaction was like, what the hell was that about? But in terms of like sales, I mean, I look back at what Metal Gear Solid 4 did for PS3, and it moved PS3s. It's definitely going to hurt Sony there.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
But in terms of fans worrying about this going to affect the quality of the game, no, it doesn't really matter if it's going to both systems. You're still getting Final Fantasy on Sony PlayStation 3. It's not like what happened to Nintendo years ago when they got screwed out of it. And why didn't Sony bother to keep it exclusive? I don't think they had anything they can do about it.
I don't think there is. I don't think they could
No
give
check
Square
big enough.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a check big enough.
The production cost of that game has to be astronomical. If they ever release the figures, they need to recoup it.
Well, they've been working on it for 3 years, and they still haven't shown any gameplay of the game.
There's like 4 seconds in the trailer.
Yeah, I don't even know if that's real gameplay.
Yeah.
It's just an FMV, and then they put the UI.
Let's make a HUD.
My question is, what's the big effing deal? I mean,
It's-
everybody's
well-
going to get to play it now. It's awesome.
No, the Sony people are upset because they're going to get less discs than the 360 users. They're going to just get 1 Blu-ray, and the 360 users are going to get like 5 DVDs.
Yeah.
It's a status thing to fans.
It's
They-
just
It's like this. It's like, your girlfriend fools around with another guy, and you can never talk to her again. She's cut. That's how they feel about it.
I mean, you know,
It's
you know, how the console
Like,
wars
it's
go with
entertaining.
fanboys. This was like their one, like with Metal Gear Solid 4. It was Final Fantasy 13 and Metal Gear Solid 4. That was their big ammunition they had. They're like, haha, we get MGS4 exclusive, and we're getting Final Fantasy 13 exclusive. The people
I mean,
who are bitching
and
about
honestly,
it, yeah.
I guess the one perspective I could see is that it will, limit sales of the PlayStation 3. And if you're a person who only owns the PlayStation 3, then that's going to discourage third-party development on the PlayStation 3 because obviously there won't be, the install base won't be as large. But that is really the only angle I could see where this is a negative for anybody. It's awesome. Justin, we have somebody banging on us about our best PC game award for our Best of E3 awards. What are they saying?
This is Honso. He's like, what was with the Game Trailers E3 Best PC Game Award? It was just a lot of multi-platform games and a casual game. What about the PC exclusives? They should mainly be focused on PC exclusives or predict best sellers. When it comes down to media aimed at PC gamers, don't just follow what the console gamers recognize, etc., etc. PC gamers like me, you never understand FPS, RTS, MMO, etc.
A lot of 3-letter acronyms in there. We don't understand. No.
Basically, the issue is we're not picking the best exclusive games. We're looking at everything that's available on the platform, and this is what you can play on the platform. It's going to be cool.
They're the best games available
There
for
you
the
go.
PC. End of story. I don't care if they're not PC-centric genres. That's irrelevant. Maybe if you don't understand what the best of whatever awards are, it's the best games that you can get for that platform.
Yeah, it's not like at school where everyone wins a prize, like elementary school. It's like you did a good job.
Here's a gold star.
Here's a sticker.
Yeah.
But-
I mean, there were some PC-centric games that were very close to making the list, like Dawn of War 2 was close. But a lot of the other games that people are complaining about, like Crysis or Stalker,
I kind of like Stalker, personally.
really? Did you like the first Stalker?
Obviously, the first one had some, brutal, kind of hard to, playability issues and stuff. But it looks like in the sequel they're trying to fix that. And if they could do the same thing, I think it'd be cool.
Do you think it was worthy of a top 5 nominee?
I don't know. I didn't get to play it, and plus, I like console games, so I wish they'd make a 360 version.
Ryan, we have somebody also upset about our best PS3 and 360 awards.
His name is Zombie131.
Zombie.
So, which one of you guys have Down syndrome? I just want to say I'm actually a high-functioning autistic. I don't actually have Down syndrome. Seriously, what the fuck were you thinking when you made the best game for 360 and the PS3 awards? You picked f***ing RE5 for both? Sure, we get it you guys have a boner for RE5.
Hey, boner.
But the point of Game Awards is to show a great game the other systems don't have.
Really?
Oh, really? Cue the owl? I think this kind of treads on what we were just talking about.
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing, right?
And I'm sorry, you guys, that you put all your mowed all the lawns and you put all your money into your PS3 or your 360. But again, it's the same thing. We're looking at the best game. And
in our opinion, Resident Evil 5 was the best game available for both systems. That was playable at the show, which is an important stipulation. A lot of people are like, "Where's Infamous?" or "Where's this?" or "Where's that?" "Where's God of War?" The games had to be playable by us at the show to be nominated or to win.
Yeah, I mean, we saw a lot of great stuff, but we weren't allowed to play it, so it could have all been smoke and mirrors.
But this does provide us a chance to sort of explain why Resident Evil 5 won so many of our awards, right? That's probably the bigger question here, aside from, why didn't you nominate an exclusive game? So this is sort of our chance to explain why, RE5 swept a lot of the awards. And actually, I guess in actuality, it won, 4 awards out of 27? Just so happened that the 4 awards it won were all published on the same day.
Yeah.
Because we knew if we put them out...
Sun.
Well, the problem was that we knew if we put them out earlier, it would totally spoil what the other awards were, so we had to basically backload them all so that there was still some mystery left there. Why is it our game of the show?
I like shooting things in the head. No, I mean, RE4, fantastic base, and it's grown on it on every level, and what we got to play at the show was great.
Same animation. Sorry.
Yeah, maybe they can...
I'm still hoping they will. That's the only thing that I'm kind of like,
They definitely need to change the
fan
animation.
comparison video, you can see the exact same animations. They're good animations, but it's a little bit disappointing.
It's a lot disappointing.
But
I mean, it shows that they're being lazy. But hopefully that's placeholder. They're also saying that there's some
Can't get rid of our
control thing that they're going to show for the first time at TGS in October. So I'm guessing there's some more things in store. But for me, there were 2 full levels of that game playable. Most of the games that we saw at that show, it's like, here's a 10-second demo.
Mirror's Edge, a minute, right?
Yeah, here's a minute demo. It's like you can't really base a solid judgment on a game on something you play for a minute. Fallout for me, I think after seeing Fallout, I don't know, my
Believe.
I know you keep saying that, but after seeing the game, my anticipation for it definitely took a bit of a nosedive.
Well, they were so combat heavy. It's kind of... I mean, how do you really show off an RPG, I guess, in a couple of minutes,
Yeah. I mean, I got to see a longer demo than that at the show, but it was still a lot of the same stuff, just, headshots and some things like that. There is a lot of detail in the game that I got to see privately that I didn't get to see at the Microsoft press conference, and I was pretty impressed with that stuff. So it did redeem the opinion of that game a little bit in my mind after I saw a private demo of it, but still it wasn't the mind-blowing thing that I had hoped for.
Well, I think for me, it's just they also said they were fixing a lot of things people had issues with in Oblivion. Mm-hmm. And Oblivion was just awesome, but not
quite
totally
there.
Awesome. So I'm hoping. Also, I like the old Fallout games.
Yeah.
I'm not one of the people who's upset that it's not isometric turn-based sprite graphics.
What about games that you saw and you were just totally like, oh my god, this is way better than I thought it was going to be?
Prince of Persia.
I think Prince of Persia was probably the one that I had huge reservations about. And then once I actually played it, I was like, all right, this thing's going to rock. And UB has a pretty good pedigree with that team. I think we can count on that game being at least solid, if not great. So that was probably one I think that probably changed a lot of people's minds, was people finally getting to see Prince of Persia. All right, up next, after a long hiatus, Grumpy McGrump is back in the house, and you're actually here to pimp a new project you're working on called annoyedgamer.com, right?
Yes, indeed. That is my website for on the interwebs and everything. There's stuff up there and
Why not grumpymcgrump.com?
Because you wouldn't let me use it. I have the email message that says, you can't use the words Grumpy McGrump or I'll punch you in the tit. So I have Annoyed Gamer, and it actually taps into my live video show, which is live, not pre-recorded. We have technology at that other place, and I do a live show every Tuesday, and it's absolute crap, but I enjoy doing it. So if anybody actually wants to see my ugly mug, they can go to the website and follow the links and all that sort of shit. Enough of my pimpage. Let's talk about E3. I know you guys did a bunch of awards. Everybody's been doing awards, but I'm doing a different set of awards, goddammit.
Why does that not surprise me?
Because I'm special. All right, so my first E3 award is Most Embarrassing Use of Executives in a Press Conference Scenario. The nominees are Nintendo for Wii Music,
Oh, boy.
Microsoft for that stupid friggin' movie game that I cannot remember what the hell the title is. And actually, the winner's Microsoft. You obviously, everybody saw this whole, guys being chased by lizards, pretending to run across a screen.
You were in the
bollocks.
movies?
Yeah, that's the one. It was absolute shit, and it was just.
You think that was worse than Wii Music? That
Wii
train
Music-
wreck that was Wii Music?
Wii Music
Did you
was.
see the drummer?
I saw everything, but the difference between Wii Music and the Microsoft thing was Wii Music didn't use all executives. Next one, according to my notes, is most useless info from E3, and this goes to the Nintendo lady VP of marketing and sales who decided to spend the first 5 minutes of the Nintendo press conference telling everybody about how the snowboarding game on Wii is so good, it means she won't break her wrist snowboarding like she did with her son 4 months ago.
Cammy Dunaway.
Yes, indeed. I wish somebody would do away with her, to be honest with you, because she shouldn't be let on the stage again. She was so cheerful, and she decided to tell us every detail about how she went snowboarding, and she fell over, and she fractured her wrist, and I really don't give a most surreal moment of E3 was back at Microsoft's press conference when they were doing that karaoke lip-syncing game, and they had
Lips.
Duffy come out, who
Yeah.
is, cute bird from my country. She's Welsh, by the way, like me. But she was singing karaoke to her own song, and behind her was the video footage of the game where she still also sings the full song, and the words are going along on the bottom, and then on the other wall was the video footage of her standing in front of a big screen of her singing herself. It was just kind of fucked up. I mean, seriously, Microsoft, next time at least give out some fucking ecstasy before you start the press conference. On a positive note, game I was most surprised and happy to see was Populous on the DS. Let's hear it for
Interesting pick.
Exceed game. Look, I'm a big fan of Populous, and I was just wandered by. Didn't have an appointment with these guys, and it was just there on the DS. It came out of Nintendo, EA of Japan. They weren't going to publish it. These guys nipped in and brought what I consider as one of the most classic games of all time to the DS, and it looks so much fun. Did see the 8-bit level, where you basically, as you colonize, create more areas, things turn from a Game Boy to an NES to a Super NES to a Nintendo 64, and it was just really cool, a nice blast from the past. So I like that. Big ups to them, because a lot of the other stuff I saw really bored me stupid. The Drop the Ball award was our old friends at the ESA for just E3 in general. I thought it fell between two stools. There was no banners outside. There was no pimping of the industry. I think mainstream press attendance was probably at an all-time low.
You couldn't even tell the show was going on if you were there.
Seriously, abortionist conventions have had more coverage.
Yeah, there was some conference that was coming in right afterwards. It was like the knitting conference or something.
It was
like
the California Gifts exhibition.
And it looked more happening in the E3.
It certainly did. It certainly got more promotion. They had banners on the outside and everything. Seriously, I thought we were going to have to show secret tattoos to get in through the door. But there was that, and then there was the little pavilion, the gaming pavilion, that was just an absolute frigging joke. 20 consoles and people milling around. What the f*** are we supposed to do? I mean, there was no atmosphere. I mean, the meeting rooms were good as always. Always a good idea to go to a meeting room, be able to sit down, fall asleep because nobody's got air conditioning. But they needed to open up they needed to have a much bigger game presence. Now, from dropping the ball to growing some balls, the Grow Some Balls Award. This goes to every single PR person who caved to all the media and announced everything before E3. E3 used to be, we'll put embargoes in place, we'll give you some of the stuff beforehand, there's some stuff we're going to say for the show so that we get that era buzz, and there is stuff that must be seen and people go around. This year, almost everything was broadcast beforehand, and I don't know if it's because of a new generation of pussy PR people, but when I was in PR and we did E3, I would save stuff. The entire PR group we were working with, we would sit and figure out, all right, if we're doing a long lead print cover, we'll still get the embargo in. If we need to get some real heavy duty materials out the online sites, we'll get it under embargo. But E3 first day, that's when all the stories hit, and it really took some of the wind out of E3 for me this year, because I knew 95% of what I was going to see in advance, and I don't like that shit. I like to be surprised. All right, the Selfish Prick Award. This is a special award to everybody who basically held a press conference during the 3 days of E3. So that's Sony, Nintendo, Capcom, Konami, and all these other guys. We had 3 days of E3 to get through all the appointments, see all the stuff, really do coverage on the jobs, on the games, and everybody decided, all these people decided to hold press conferences to really suck up time and resources. Microsoft actually got it right. EA, I'm saying this, God forbid I'm going to hell, EA got it right. Square Enix got it right. They did their press conferences on the Monday, so there was nothing else major going on. We went from press conference to press conference, got the stuff done. But yeah, I just think it's totally unfair of the likes of Nintendo and Sony especially to hold their press conferences first thing on a Tuesday morning when all the people who are doing the third-party software for them, end up getting screwed out of appointments. I mean, I actually, decided to abandon the Sony press conference and catch up on the coverage later because I wanted to take advantage of the fact that it was nice and quiet and get my appointments done. But it was totally unfair, and I think
I had to leave Sony's press conference early because I had appointments that I had to catch back at the show.
And it's just not right. It's not right on the rest of the industry, and they really need to stop being so selfish. I got more done in the first 3 hours of E3 after the Nintendo press conference than I did at the Nintendo press conference. It was a waste of space.
But you got to
Nintendo
be there
didn't
because
bring
you don't know until you go whether it's going to be a waste of space.
anything. But it's been waste of space 2 years running now. But anyway, that was my slightly different look at E3. I thought the show was disappointing overall. The big boys didn't bring it. I thought some of the little boys brought it. The little software companies actually brought it better. I don't think Resident Evil was best game of E3 in my book.
You're open. You're free to your own opinion.
I am, and that's why you have me on the show because I'm an opinionated prick. But anyway, yes, that's it. I'm done now, so there you go.
Thanks for stopping by, man. Always an enlightening conversation, and thanks for your alternate take on E3.
My pleasure, sweetheart.
All right, next up we have a post-mortem on Soul Calibur 4. What do you guys think of it, man? I'll say one thing about that game. It is the first game in a long time that the whole office got into. Literally, like, after work, people are sitting around saying,
Elisa?
I got next. Yeah, even some of the female employees here have been playing the game, which is unheard of. So despite all that, do you guys think it's all that? I mean...
I think it's pretty good. It's a good game. You can have fun with it. It's not, my number one pick for a serious competitive fighting game, but it's an awesome game. They want to please the fans, and they just put a ton of stuff in there. They have online play. It has some issues, but it's still really cool to have. So,
and for the record, Justin, you reviewed the game for us.
Yeah, I did. I'll take responsibility.
No, we gave it a good review.
It was quite a 9. I kept it under a 9.
Yeah, I think that was the right call.
Yeah, and there's also a good reason for why it's the game that most of the office is into, is because it has a very approachable fighting
It's a
system.
button masher.
You can still get mashy with it.
That's why everybody wants to play it, because they can play it and look like they're good, even if they suck at video games.
I don't want to straight out call it a button masher, but it's definitely very tolerant.
It's not Tekken.
Yeah, it's not.
Let me put it to you this way. Somebody who just picked up the controller and played it for the first time has a chance to beat somebody who's played it for 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest gripes about the game so far is that, when you play online, people could just pick a character like Killick and just spam the same attack over and over again.
Basically, it's
pretty
kind of
efficient.
different. If it's a different game online, you're like, what are my best range, fastest, high priority attacks, and you kind of just front load them.
Why is that,
And
though?
you
Because of
come out
lag
in
and
the
latency?
Yeah, you pick your best moves and you come out swinging, and hopefully you'll connect.
It's the safest attack,
So it's more like swing at the pinata.
Yeah. Well, you'll see one of our videos, it's like Scheherazade or something. It's an online match. She keeps doing the same 3-move sequence over and over, and because of lag, it's extremely hard to stop her in between. She's like, yeah.
Because you literally need like split-second timing.
Yeah, she doesn't stop with it. Yeah. That can be tough, but I mean, it's a cool game. It's a lot of fun. Play it a lot after work.
I like the character creation thing. I think that's cool. Although it's kind of unbalanced when you go online and fight against people, because there's really no way to know how powerful their character is going to be until you step in and fight them.
Yeah, it's still amazing how many people are getting into that though compared to other creative characters.
Well, yeah, we saw the Obama versus McCain matches. We've seen Solid
good.
Snake. People have gotten really creative with some of
I haven't seen
the.
the Solid Snake one.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen this level of customization in a fighting game, like apart from maybe like wrestling games.
Yeah.
It's good.
Do you think Tekken can eclipse Soul Calibur 4?
It's kind of a personal preference thing. Some people like Tekken. I honestly...
But Tekken's kind of like Soul Calibur. Like, certain characters you can button mash and
It is a bit...
be proficient.
It's kind of close. It's
Eddie,
like the non
for example.
Yeah.
It's definitely in
What
the
are all
same
these
vein of
clips?
3D fighters, but Tekken
People get pretty uppity
Yeah.
if you say Soul Calibur is on the same level of depth. They're like, it's totally not. It's a whole nother level.
So it has the same fighter in it.
But then, if you ask Itagaki about it, then
Oh yeah, those dead or
taking a
alive
sheet.
then just on all of them. Which is totally not true.
Bring peace to those without guidance. Say, repent for your sins.
Hey everyone, I went to QuakeCon.
I'm sorry, Ryan.
It was humid and 102 degrees, but I barely left the hotel, so it was okay. It was really, I mean, it's cool. Everyone's bringing their PCs. Lots of lots of people. There was a big schedule on a giant monitor, and the lady was like, "Make sure no one puts up Tub Girl on there." And I was like, "That's kind of fun." But,
That's fun.
I mean, it was small, but I mean, it's free. Anyone can go. Lots of people playing games. Tons of Guitar Hero and Rock Band.
Really?
A lot of people were playing, Quake.
At QuakeCon.
Yeah, but tons of people sitting there. It was like the episode of South Park. No volume, no headphones, playing acoustic. It was going for that high score, not even caring about the music.
All you
These
just
guys-
hear is the flicker, flicker, flicker,
These
flicker.
guys are intense. Id cell phone games look awesome. I have to say. I mean, I played Orcs and Elves on the DS, but I mean, the Wolfenstein thing has a full 3D engine where you can go up and down, some sniping. I'm not going to say I don't think my cell phone can play it when it finally comes out, but
Well, they're mostly for like the iPhone. I mean,
well, they still haven't. The iPhone, Carmack said it's stronger than the DS and the PSP combined.
I thought he said it was stronger than the Dreamcast.
He says it's graphically up there with the Dreamcast, but like with its RAM, it's actually more powerful. But he was saying they wanted to do something at launch for the iPhone, but then he's so analytical. He's like, I estimated it would take 3,200 man hours to get something up by launch, so we decided it wasn't good for the calculus of the limits. And the guy is crazy. You can, he talked for like 3 hours nonstop. At one point, they brought him like a bench to sit on. He's like, thank you, and just continued,
But what's up with their games? I mean, there's Wolfenstein.
Well,
there's
they were
Rage.
saying that they were saying even way back on Quake that it was such a good 3D game. He's totally honest. He'll say if they mess something up, he's like, but we didn't really have clipping or seams, and everyone else was making games, and they were just trying to rush it to market. And they say that they have these 4-year development windows, and it sucks. But they're not licensing Unreal 3. They're coding stuff from scratch. And
Do you think it's worth it though? Looking at Rage, I mean,
I think Rage looks really good.
It's a good-looking game, but is it worth building your own engine when probably
They make a ton of money. I mean, you have to think of how many games use the Quake 3 the Quake 3 engine back in the day.
Yeah, I mean that was a long time ago. Now it's all about Unreal.
Yeah, but who knows if the Rage engine's gonna Doom 3 wasn't licensed that much at all. I think Quake 4 used it, maybe a handful of other games. But
it's not going to help their business model either when he complains about programming the PS3 and that he doesn't like to sell. And
yeah, but then on the other side, he's saying that they won't be able to run Rage on a 360 unless Microsoft lets them say hard drive required, so they can cache up to the hard drive. So he's honest. But this is the guy who coded Doom for the Jaguar by hand, which was notoriously difficult to program for with its 2 separate processors and everything. And then Raven's working on Wolfenstein, which I got to see a demo of. But still kill a bunch of Nazis, some interesting weapons, but I don't know, nothing like. It's funny because Activision's publishing it, and it's there's Call of Duty, and now there's Wolfenstein, and there's the supernatural aspect and stuff, but there's still World War II games,
now, for the sake of our viewers/listeners who might be thinking about going to QuakeCon next year, should they go?
Bring deodorant. I mean, if
And your own
everyone's sake.
PC.
I left on Friday when a lot of people were coming in for the weekend, and it was about 2/3 full when I was there. And it's if you want to just play games with a lot of people and have a lot of fun, yeah, it's free. You get a discounted rate at the hotel. For the most part, it was just a lot of dudes walking around with Subway bags and oversized extra large T-shirts and lanyards. So
What are you trying to say?
I'm just stating some observations. I'm not trying to state anything. But it was pretty cool. I wish, last year there was lots of Left 4 Dead stuff, but nothing really new this year from a news perspective. So
Now, if it was in Los Angeles and 2 weeks from now, would you go if you didn't have to work? Would you go for fun?
no, God no.
You'd be going to PAX.
Okay. Well, I guess that pretty much sums it all up then. Well, that's going to do it for this week's episode. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back next Thursday and every Thursday after that. Again, we apologize for missing a few episodes, but we are back in the house and we'll be rolling. So thanks for checking us out, and we'll see you next week.